in this activity, you're going to arrange the jumbled letters on your paper. So you have 30 seconds to arrange and write your answer. Is that okay? Okay, very good. So now let's start. Okay, jumbled letters number 1. You have only 30 seconds to do your number 1. Okay, time's up. So what was the answer? The answer is carbohydrates. Yes, very good. Now, let's proceed to question number 2. Okay. Jumbled letters number 2. You have 30 seconds to do this. Okay, time's up. So what was the answer? Okay, the answer is lipids. Very good. Now, question number 3. You have 30 seconds. Timer starts now. Time's up. Okay, so what was the answer? The answer is proteins. Very good. So now let's proceed to last question. You have 30 seconds to do this. Time's up. So what was the answer? The answer is nucleic acid. Very good. Okay, so based on our activity, our lesson for today will be, okay, very good, the biological macromolecules. So do you have any idea what are those biological macromolecules? Okay, so let's find out. But before that, before we proceed to our lesson proper, let's have first read our objectives. So our objectives is, number 1 is to distinguish between carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids. Second is to summarize the general characteristics of each biomolecules and relate the structures of these biomolecules with their properties. So that is our objectives for today. Okay, so what is a biological macromolecules? A biological macromolecules is a large organic molecule such as carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids. Biological molecules have a huge variety of functions such as storing energy and protections. First, biological molecules, we have these carbohydrates. So what is a carbohydrate? So carbohydrate may be broken down to carbon and hydrate. So another term for carbohydrate is saccharide. So carbohydrates are also classified either as simple or complex. Simple sugars are monosaccharide and disaccharides, and complex sugars are called the polysaccharides. Carbohydrates are the primary energy source of the human body. The different saccharides that humans eat are converted to glucose, which can be readily used by the body. The excessive consumption of carbohydrates is converted to glycogen, which is stored in the liver and in muscles. Glycogen is a slow-releasing carbohydrates. Okay, so there are classifications of carbohydrates. So what are these? First is monosaccharide, meaning it has only one saccharide. So glucose is used in dextrose, so that is the use. Blood sugar, the form utilized by the human body. Galactose found in milk and milk products, and the fructose found in fruits and honey. Okay, next is disaccharides, meaning two saccharides. So maltose is a combination of glucose plus glucose that is found in malt. Sucrose is a combination of glucose plus fructose found in regular table sugar, sugarcane, and sugar beet. Lactose is a combination of glucose, galactose, that it will be found in milk and milk products. So another classifications of carbohydrates is the polysaccharides, meaning many saccharides. So example is our starch, the amylose, the amylopectin, storage form of glucose in plants. Glycogen, storage form of glucose in animals, stored in the liver and muscles. Cellulose is structural material in plants. In our rice, cereals, potatoes, fruits, and pastas. So the function is the main energy source of our body. Okay, so next is lipids or fats. So what are those lipids? Lipids or fats are important nutrients in your body, but eating too many especially unhealthy fats such as the saturated fats and trans fats can lead to heart disease, cancer, and obesity. So lipids serve other functions such as material for cell membrane, insulation to maintain body temperature, aid in digestions, and as signal molecules. So there are also classifications of lipids. We have these triglycerides, phospholipid, wax, and steroid. So the lipid family is one of the most varied in terms of structure, but they share the common property of being insoluble in water. So fat and oil are the most common examples of lipids. So they are under triglycerides because they are composed of glycerol and 3 fatty acids. Okay, so fat refers to solid triglyceride usually from animal sources such as meat, milk, butter, margarine, eggs, and cheese. So oil refers to liquid triglycerides from plant sources. For example, the olive oil, the corn oil, sunflower oil, and soybean. So animal fats contain high percentages of saturated fatty acids, while plant oils are most unsaturated fatty acids. So fat from plants are healthy than the animal fats. Okay? So function. They are made from carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. They are soluble are dissolved in oil but are insoluble or don't dissolve in water. So function is long-term storage of energy in the body. The monomer is fatty acid. Next, proteins. So what are proteins? Proteins are composed of 4 elements, namely carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. So sulfur and other metals are sometimes also found in proteins. So if carbohydrates are made up of saccharides, proteins are made up of amino acids. So examples of proteins and their functions are the keratin. Keratin is structural protein found in our hair, in our skin, in our nails. Okay, so fibrin are the silk protein. So fibrin is found in silk. Silk has a smooth and soft texture. It is one of the strongest natural fibers that have high resistance to deformation. It is also a good insulating material. Next is collagen. Collagen is a major insoluble fibrous protein found in connective tissues such as tendons, the ligaments, skin cartilage, and the cornea of the eye. It comprises as much as 30% of proteins in animals. Next is enzymes. Functions to catalyze chemical reactions. They either speed up a reaction, lower the needed energy for reaction to take place, or bind substances to their specific partners. Yes, the example is enzymes. Okay, so examples of enzymes, we have the lipase. What is lipase? Help in digestions of fats. The pepsin, help in breaking down proteins into peptides. Sucrase, also called the invertase, help in the digestion of sugars and starches. Myoglobin is a polypeptide that stores oxygen in muscles. It contains a heme group which has an iron where the oxygen is stored. So function, they are made from carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. Proteins are made up of amino acids combined through a dehydration link called a peptide bond. So the monomer is amino acids. Okay, next is the nucleic acid. So what is a nucleic acid? So nucleic acids play an essential role in the storage, transfer, and expression of genetic information. So nucleic acid was discovered by a 24-year-old Swiss physician named Friedrich Mischer in 1868. So the most common example of nucleic acids are DNA or deoxyribonucleic acid and RNA or ribonucleic acid. So DNA is a nucleic acid that carries the genetic code of organisms. You all knew that, right? Yes. So it is fondly termed as the blueprint of life. While RNA carries the information from the DNA to the cellular factories for the synthesis of proteins, if carbohydrates are composed of saccharide units, proteins of amino acids, and lipids of fatty acids, nucleic acids are composed of nucleotides. So nucleic acids are also known as the polynucleotides. So there are 3 parts of nucleotides. So we have nitrogenous base, 5-carbon carbohydrates or sugar, and a phosphate group. So the function is, it involves the genetic materials, the DNA and RNA. So DNA is the blueprint of life because it contains instructions on how to make proteins in the body. So the monomer for nucleic acid is the nucleotide. Okay? Okay, so do you now understand the biological macromolecules? Yes? Okay, very good. Yes. So now let's proceed to our activity number 2, which we call this as the glass and plate. So direction is, write inside the first plate an example of food rich in carbohydrates that you have eaten a while ago and tell us what you feel after eating it. Okay? So what What did you feel after eating the food rich in carbohydrates? Okay? For number 2, write inside the second plate an example of food rich in lipids that you have eaten a while ago. So what did you feel after eating the food rich in lipids? Next is to write inside the third plate an example of food rich in protein that you have eaten a while ago, and tell us about what you feel when you have eaten. So what did you feel after eating the protein-rich food? Okay, so for activity 1.2, we will call this as the meal plan. So think of a 3-day healthy meal plan for a teenager like you following the table below. So make sure that you choose the right kind of food containing carbohydrates, proteins, and lipids. So you have 15 minutes to do your activity. Okay? Okay, so next, so what you have learned? Carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids. So you have to write what elements are they composed of, what is their monomer, what is its functions for the body, and write 2 examples, okay, of carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and nucleic acid. Okay? Next. Next, for your assessment, okay, multiple choice. This is a multiple choice. Read and analyze the given statements below. So write the chosen letter on a separate sheet of paper. For number 1, which biological molecule group carries and passes on the hereditary informations of the organisms? Is it A, the carbohydrates, B, the lipids, C, the nucleic acids, or D, the proteins? Okay, so for question number 2, which biomolecules are significant features of the cell membrane? Is it the carbohydrate and nucleic acid, or B, the lipid and nucleic acid, C, the nucleic acid and protein, or D, the protein and lipids? Okay, so for question number 3, atom is the basic unit of a chemical element. So, what are the atoms that make up carbohydrates? A, carbon and hydrogen, B, carbon, hydrogen, and nitrogen, C, carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, or D, the carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. Okay, question number 4. Which organic molecule gives fast source of energy? A, the carbohydrates, B, the lipids, C, the nucleic acids, or D, the proteins? Okay, so for question number 5, which nutrient group is used in the composition of waxes and responsible for insulation of some organisms? Is it A, the carbohydrates, B, the lipids, C, nucleic acids, or D, proteins? Okay, so for question number 6, which of the following does not belong to the classification of lipids? A, the hemoglobin, B, the phospholipids, C, steroid, or D, triglyceride? Okay, next question. Which of the following is considered as the building blocks of proteins? Is it A, the amino acids, B, nucleic acid, C, nucleotides, or D, polypeptides? Okay, next. For question number 8, the excessive consumption of carbohydrates is converted into which polysaccharide that is stored in the liver and in the muscles? A, creatinine, B. glycogen, C. hemoglobin, D. uric acid. Okay, question number 9. Which of the following is a monosaccharide which is used in dextrose? A. fructose, B. galactose, C. glucose, D. lactose. Okay, very good. Now, let's proceed to number 10. Which is a good example of saturated fat? A. the butter, B. corn oil, C. olive oil, or D. the sunflower oil. Okay, so for question number 11, which is termed as the blueprint of life? A. deoxyribonucleic acid, B. the fatty acid, C. the nucleic acid, or D. the ribonucleic acid. Okay, so question number 12. Proteins are composed of 4 elements, so namely the carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and what other element? A. magnesium, B. nitrogen, C. phosphorus, or D. sulfur. Okay, so for question number 13, this is a major insoluble fibrous protein found in connective tissues such as tendons, ligaments, skin, cartilage, and the cornea of the eye. So what is it? Is it A. the albumin, B. the collagen, C. keratin, or D. pepsin? Okay, so next is question number 14. Which polypeptide stores oxygen in muscles? A. enzyme, B. hem, C. lipase, D. myoglobin. Okay, next. For question number 15, which is not a part of nucleotide? A. nitrogenous base, B. phosphate group, C. ribonucleic acid, or D. sugar. Okay, very good. Okay, so this is our end of our lesson. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy our lesson for today. See you next meeting. Bye!